Good afternoon, folks. Welcome aboard another day of building Evie. I've just got back from the workshop. Well, had lunch as well, but just got back from the workshop, having collected various bits of wood that will go down the edge of the wardrobe cupboards in the back. So I'm now going to get on with trying to put them on, figuring out exactly. Well, I'll probably have to cut things down and what have you. So remember this point. The wardrobe front is up and I'm kind of thinking about the edge banding to put it on. I've got various different bits of edge banding. I'm trying to decide how long to make each bit. Just a bit of sanding off the edges there. This Iroko stuff, if you get splinters, it's not supposed to be good for you. So anyway, I decided to sand off all of the bits just so that they're easier to handle. Mike came over and he suggested using the magic number, i.e. the Fibonacci sequence, or I can't remember whatever else it's called. It's got lots of 1.168 or something like that, I think it is. So that's a golden ratio. That's the one. Anyway, so that's what I've ended up doing, and I realised I made a zero clearance fence so that it didn't splinter as much out of the back when I cut them. It should be okay anyway, because I've got obviously I'm only doing visible two sides, so it shouldn't matter too much, but it seemed like a sensible idea to give me as good options as I could have. So I just double-sided sticky taped a bit of 12mm ply onto the fence of the chop saw. Also, it gave me the opportunity to put some markings on there for some measurements. Anyway, having got various bits of that seem to make up the right length, well, just a touch over long, but I realized that there was something wrong and it was bugging me. Anyway, I put the board back up and I realized that actually this edge isn't straight, so I had to cut it off, and it was about 17mm at the top and 0 at the bottom. Really don't understand quite how this happened, but anyway, it's done. It comes back to haunt me later as well. I was then ready to sort of think about gluing things up and whatever, so I lined things up. I figured that the CLS would be rigid enough side to side that I wouldn't need to do anything about the shape of the bit of wood that I'm gluing to. Anyway, a little spread out along with the finger. This is a pressure sensitive PVA. It worked very well on various other things that I've used, and Brad gave me a bottle of it, so thanks, Brad. And having put that on and spread it out a bit with my finger, then I went to sort of clamp it up, and these bits of CLS, despite being obviously fairly rigid, weren't rigid enough, and there's a bit that fell off and whatever. So in the end, then I went and got some of the offcuts and screwed those down to the bit underneath so that I could clamp up quite tight. Then it was while that was setting up, then it was onto the bathroom cabinet. I had one previously that had a demister, shaver socket and light in it. This one doesn't, but it's thinner and so it fits in the space. I've got a bit of a problem with trying to fit the shaver socket. I'm not sure whether to fit it inside this or whether to fit it into the wall and have it poke through. So if you have any answers there, then let me know. I haven't done anything about it yet. I've just ordered the shaver socket. Anyway, back to the matter in hand. I realised that I needed to cut a little cutout for the skirting board, so I was going to do that without marking it, and then I thought, well, I might as well just mark it, so I did. And this turned out to be not in quite the right place, but I thought sticking the drill bit in a hole that I drilled in the corner of it was quite a good idea for getting the tracks all lined up. As I say, that I did with straight sides, and later on then I realised that I should have done it with an angle, because that piece of skirting board is at an angle. There was one day where I wasn't at the boat, but there has been a lot of jiggery pokery. Well, no, just pondering, figuring out where to put the cuts and how to line them up, and the top one to the bottom one, and should the top one be horizontal at the top or should it be angled, and is everything in just the right place for me to actually figure. There we go, there's me cutting it at an angle. because I realised that if I put it back up, then I could then make a better judgment of where it was against the edges. And this is me putting some pocket holes in. I managed to clamp my finger in the pocket hole jig at one point in time. So anyway, I decided that I would try and cut the top of the top door at an angle, and that made me think that I needed to put the ceiling up to figure out where that actually lined up. So this is me starting to put the ceiling up. And well, anyway, after not very much time, then I realized that I had an example on Tilly. So I went and looked at that, and it's horizontal, which seemed actually to make far more sense to just try and do it horizontal. So I undid the pocket screws that I'd put in. I got some new pocket screws. They're the square-headed ones, and they are so much better than the cross-head ones. If you are using pocket holes at all, then I heartily recommend not using cross-head pocket hole screws. They're just beyond useless by comparison. Anyway. So there's a lot of layout that literally, even as I was just doing the voiceover, then I've just gone back and cut out loads of this. It was a bit of a nightmare. In the end, then I'm referencing off the right-hand edge, which will be near as damn it vertical. The bottom isn't now right angle to that side, because as you recall at the beginning, then I chopped that narrowing triangle that was 17mm at the top down to 0 at the bottom off. So that was another thing. This skirting board cutout needed another millimetre off it just to give it some clearance. So put it back at an angle, and then so this is the right hand cut of the cupboards. So I did it all in one, so it was all one lined up, but there is a gap between them. But anyway, so eventually then, having started this thing 3-4 days ago, whatever it was, then okay, there was a day off in the middle, but I am now getting to the point where I'm putting the cuts into this, which I thought was going to happen in the first sort of half hour. So this is the bottom door. Obviously, I'm not sure whether I will put an edge band of Iroko on the right hand side of this. So cut off 19mm off the right hand side and put another band of Iroko. I might do. We will see. One of the advantages of doing that is that because this is ply, then when you open the door, then you obviously don't see the ply edge. Well, that's been a couple of days of not very much, hasn't it? So I'm very glad to have the face of the wardrobe cut, decision made. That's the main thing there. So anyway, so that's done. Apart from that, and the bathroom cabinet has arrived. Undecided whether to put the shaver socket thing up the top inside, or whether to cut a hole in the back and put it into the wall. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to get this edited and done, because this has been a couple of days of nothing really. But there we go. That happens sometimes. Take care, everybody. I will be back, and I will get this wardrobe put together, and that'll be progress.